This is the Storied Outdoors, a podcast somewhere between Lewis and Tolkien and Lewis and Clark, finding clarity in the stories we tell and the adventures that shape us. Welcome to the Storied Outdoors. My name is Brad Hill, and I'm joined as always by my pal Brian Gill, and we are starting off Season 9. Can you believe it, Brian?
Man, I can't. I feel like we say this every time. I know we do.
I know.
But it's like,
gosh,
yeah, we're so thankful that people actually still listen. They've been asking a lot about when's this next season coming out. You know, I will say we've been a little bit delayed this year.
Been a little challenge. Been a challenge. We've been. You've been busy. I've been busy. We've got some good episodes brewing, still working on a few, but man, yeah, it's been a really busy summer and fall already, man. It got kicked off and been a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, I have a new position at Sanford, and it's taken me traveling a lot as the school has started back, and it just logistically. I mean, you were going with your church. There was some opportunities that you had outside of your church, and we're going to talk a little bit about all of these trips, but man, we are so glad to be back, so glad to start telling some more stories. I feel like this year is shaping up to be a really special year.
Yeah, absolutely. We have I don't want, we never really tip our hat too much on future guests or anything, but I'm super excited about the folks that we have on, that have already loaded up in the hopper, if you will. But man, what a great summer! I had a great summer this summer with all the things going on with fam, and then man, I had some trips come up. I had an opportunity to go some unique places this summer with the mission work that I do. That was pretty awesome. And so, man, just a lot happened since the last time we recorded an episode, man. A lot of water has gone under the old bridge.
Man, I had to go back through my old photos to kind of make sure I didn't miss something. Yeah. But man, I tell you what, your trips were epic. I mean, the three that I'm thinking of were just out of this world, like seemingly one once in a lifetime deals.
One certainly was, I would say, a once in a lifetime. I had the opportunity to travel with an organization. I won't name a lot of the names of the organization that I went with because of the nature of the work, but they had a need for someone to travel and partner with them, and I had the opportunity to make a trip to Jordan. Which obviously there's a reason a lot of people a little hesitant maybe to go to Jordan right now when your neighbor is Iran and the other neighbor is Israel. A lot going on in that neck of the woods, but man, I had the opportunity to fly there, take some things that were much needed things for some friends in need there, and visit and hear their story, which was amazing. And I told the organization that I traveled with, I was like, listen, man, if I want to travel all the way to Jordan, right? And it was a really quick trip. It was like fly there, which takes roughly a day and a half to get there. And we were on the ground for a day, 2 full days, I think. And then flew back. And so it was a real fast trip, but it was sort of an emergency need. And but I had a full day on the ground. And I was like, what are we going to do? There wasn't like a plan, it was just like the way the travel had to break up. And I said, listen, if I'm going to go all this way, I would really like to make it down to Petra. And the guy that I was working with is from Jordan. He lives here in the States, and he kind of smiled, and he was like, I will make it happen for you.
In the back of your mind, I mean, is dun, dun, dun,
of course, that's playing in my head. I was like, this is where Indiana Jones was. I mean, we were kids. When this is on, in the movie theaters, and when it came out. I remember going to Blockbuster Video when that came out,
Oh,
and
R.I.P.
all right, please be, please be kind and rewind, but I remember watching that and just, it didn't seem real.
So, if for
Um,
the people who maybe can't picture what Petra is, paint this picture.
yeah,
Uh,
so there's a scene in Indiana Jones and the Quest for the Holy Grail at the very end where they find the Holy Grail, and him and Sala and the group ride up on these horses through this very narrow, I mean very narrow canyon. Um, I mean, it's probably maybe 20 feet wide, 30 feet wide at its widest, and it narrows down to, like the width of a camel, essentially.
hmm,
And then you kind of zigs and zags, and it's the stone is carved out by the water over, thousands of years. And you go through this canyon for a couple of miles, and then it opens up into this wider canyon, and on the wall of the canyon facing you as you come out of this opening is this extremely ornate carved 3-story building that's massive,
carved
and it's
into the mountain.
carved into the stone of the mountain.
Hmm.
And it looks like Greek, sort of columns and super ornate, sort of crown molding. I don't know a better term to call that, but it's the exterior of the building is exquisite and it's beautiful, and it's all carved out of stone in a canyon in the middle of the desert of Jordan. And it doesn't even look real, even in person. It doesn't look real. I mean, it's one of the wonders of the world for a reason. It was breathtaking to walk up to, because of what's going on current events wise right now in that region. There were not a lot of tourists.
Hmm.
And so I got a very unique experience. If you follow me on Instagram, there's an Instagram post about it and pictures that I took there, and there were virtually no tourists in the photos.
Mhm.
And so, man, as I walked up, you can just kind of hear the chirp of birds, and it just echoes because there's no other sound. It's really silent, and it's breathtaking. And man, it was like you were there back then. It was like there's no one there. And you were in the movie. But obviously there were people around, but I was able to take photos that looks like there was not a soul there. The only thing there was a couple of camels there, and which you could pay to take your picture on. I did not do that. The guy was like, "Would you like to ride the camel?" And I was like, I had this opportunity. This is a whole nother story, but similar organization years ago in 2017, I think it was. I got to go to Egypt doing similar work. And while we were there, we did ride a camel, in the desert
Mhm.
with the pyramids off in the distance. But I told him, I was like, I got to ride a camel one time by the pyramids of Giza. And he was like, different camel, different place. Come on, man. Come on.
He was a salesman for sure.
Oh man, he was. I was like, I'm good, man. I'm okay. I don't really have to have a photo of me on a camel. Which I love that old joke about camels, which are horses built by a committee.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, they're funky looking
they're a
animals,
funky
man.
looking creature for sure. But yes, it was otherworldly. And I sat there and I read the book of Obadiah in the Old Testament, which is written to the Nabatean people who lived there in that region and in that valley that carved. I think it was after Obadiah that this particular, which is if you Google the treasury of Petra, this image will pop up that I'm
Hmm.
talking about.
Okay.
So I think it was after Obadiah was written, well before that particular place was carved. But he writes, he's writing the letter, Obadiah's written to these people, and he says, to you who live in the cleft of the rock,
Hmm.
you who live in your lofty dwellings. And he's talking about the Nabateans that have carved out their dwelling place there in the canyons of Petra in that region. The other thing that was really really cool as you go along those canyons were um, what was it would be a great word for it, like channels carved into the rock that channeled rainwater because it rained so the rain was so scarce,
Oh.
but it does rain from time to time. In fact, it'll flash flood every now and then. Much like lots of deserts have the propensity to flash flood.
Hmm.
But they carved over time all these channels that would channel water through the
Like an
stone.
like an aqueduct. Yeah.
Exactly. And it would go into these massive cisterns that they hewn out of the stone. And
Wow.
I saw one of them. I would venture a guess, probably wrong, but I would say it was probably in the 1,000 gallon.
Mm.
It was enormous, and it had water in the bottom of it, which was incredible. And it hadn't rained in months, you know.
Wow.
And so that's one of the ways they survive. So all over the hills of Petra, there are cisterns carved into the mountain, into the stone, and on the way to them, they've carved these aqueducts and channels channeling rainwater into them so they can survive out there, which is amazing.
Are you able to go inside the treasury?
They didn't. They weren't allowing people that day. I've heard
Hmm.
people say that they had the opportunity to go in. It's just it's a big open room, and then I think it's 2 story or 3 story. Maybe it's 2 story. Maybe I was wrong. But I know there's a second story because you can kind of see windows over into it, which was pretty amazing. But that's not the only thing. There's lots more in that whole area.
Mm.
I didn't have a lot of time. I had a really enough time to kind of see the one iconic thing, but there's an entire community city there. There's one wide angle picture that I took that had a coliseum. There's a coliseum carved out of the mountain there. It looks like steps, but there's seating for a coliseum where they would have who knows what. There's
Golly.
a on further on, probably 4 or 5 miles from the treasury, there is a another very ornate building, and that's a monastery. Um,
Active monastery?
no, it's not
Yeah.
active anymore, but
Okay.
it was a monastery, and lots of homes, lots of graves, and lots of tombs.
Mm.
People buried there, but it was incredible. And
What a whirlwind
I
trip.
got to ride a horse. I was like, I'm riding. I didn't want to ride a camel, but I was going to ride a horse, and so I was got to have to ride an Indiana Jones. And they ham it up. They're like, you can do, the Indiana Jones experience. They know what they have. Like Indiana Jones. I was like, yes, I know.
Oh, I've heard.
I've heard. I've heard. Believe me. Um, but what's really amazing is there are Bedouin peoples that still live in tents, out there that are herding sheep. There were herds of sheep out there. Um, and people still live that way. Now, granted, they walk out of their tent and talk on their cell phone. Uh,
Yes.
they've got a few creature comforts, but yeah, it was amazing. Amman, Jordan is an incredible city. Ancient Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And so when you start to look into biblical times and Roman times, it was a Roman city called Philadelphia, is modern day Amman, Jordan. So there were lots of Roman ruins there. There was we got to visit at one of the Colosseums. It's still in pretty good condition. Up on this huge hill, there was a citadel there that was built by Marcus Aurelius, the famed philosopher and the guy that was the Caesar that died early in the. Most people are probably familiar with the Gladiator movie
Oh
with
yeah.
Russell Crowe, and the Caesar in that was Marcus Aurelius, but he was also a great writer and philosopher. But he had built a citadel there that was pretty spectacular, and there was ruins of it. It wasn't still standing, but it
Yeah,
was
sure.
the pieces, of the columns were just incredibly ornate. I'm like, man, it took someone's entire life probably to carve,
Yeah.
this granite and stone or whatever. It was just amazing. I mean, it really was like a dream. Like you said, I mean, it was once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm really thankful that I took it. I got to meet some amazing believers that are living in difficult places, and it cost a lot for them
Mm.
to maintain their faith, and they're extremely courageous to live out their faith in a difficult place that they are. But Jordan, I felt safe. I mean, I don't want anybody to think this was like, you know, a war zone or something. It was,
Yeah.
they were happy. They were happy to see us,
Yeah.
because a lot of their economy is built off of tourism for places like Petra and
Yeah.
Amman, and so they were so kind and so warm and welcoming, and the food. Oh my Lord, that food was.
A lot of those places that seem to be hotbeds, kind of, or maybe in the middle, just based on proximity, they have to keep their tourists safe,
Yes,
because
yes,
that's their economy,
yeah.
and so,
It was
wow,
great.
what a great opportunity, man. And that
Yeah.
wasn't the only trip that you took, that was epic.
No, that was I mean, that was one that was kind of like, whoa, that came quick and then went quick.
Yeah, you were gone and back before I even blinked. I mean, like, I think
Yeah.
we may have, I mean, we didn't like even break our text thread.
No, I laughed because, and I sent you that, I showed you that picture, but I took a picture of my Grail filter bottle.
You
I was
found the
like,
Corral.
I found it. I thought that was really funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, no, later in the summer, I was able to take a team back over to Sarajevo, Bosnia. Um, it was so good to go back and visit. I have a lot of friends that live there, and
Mm.
it's the first time we've been back since before COVID.
Yeah.
And so went back and spent some time encouraging believers there and friends there. It's just a hard place.
Mm.
It's a hard place for the gospel. It's a hard place for missionaries, and it was quite something to go back and just hear what's going on. And we get so caught up in the news here and the things going on in our little world. It's so refreshing to get outside and go, oh yeah, we're not the only ones, right?
Yeah.
You
This
know,
world's a little bit bigger than our
yeah, and
little
so just
scope.
just to hear what's going on with them, also to hear some of their perceptions of what's going on here is really funny because they get such a different news feed than we would get, and so that was always really fascinating, both Jordan and Bosnia.
Hmm.
Just their perception of everything that's happening was pretty interesting. We won't really get into that. I don't want to get into any politics or anything, but
Yeah.
it was fascinating.
Mm.
Um, but Bosnia is such a beautiful. It's Eastern Europe. It's mountainous. The weather was spectacular, and we got to get up into the mountains. And I took my fly rod this time. I did not get to fish. I wanted to, it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
But I did. I did find out there is a expat, a U.S. A guy that lives over there that's from the U.S. and is a fly fisherman. And he told me that the next time that I come, he would take me fly fishing. He's a fly fishing guru. And so
You got to
next
take him up on
year,
that.
yeah, next year, I will take a team back, Lord willing, and get to catch a trout in Bosnia.
Well, what a story that'll be.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. I've seen them. I've been able to see the fish before. We would go on a hike or something, and
Yeah.
I could see them over in there. And I would always be regretful that I didn't bring my fly rod. This time I took it, but we just didn't. It just didn't work out.
Yeah.
But great time. Um, Beautiful historic place, and you know never never hurt for food when you're there because
Mm.
I love their food too. Just that Turkish, there's the Ottoman Empire reached all the way to Bosnia, 500 years ago, so a lot of the Middle Eastern cuisine still holds true there. Like Turkish coffee is a very popular thing there, which I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah, that's thick.
Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah. That'll hold. You can stick the spoon in; it just kind of sticks
It
there.
just sticks right up.
But it's good. It has a unique flavor, and it's the thing I like about Turkish coffee is you can't get in a hurry drinking Turkish coffee.
That's the truth. Unless you like to chew your coffee.
Yeah, so you have to sip it. You drink it slowly, and it forces you to go slow. They have this sort of this term or this saying in Bosnian. It's called polako. Slow down,
Huh.
take it easy, man. A little Godspeed kind of
Oh, I like
language
that.
of move at a slower pace.
Yeah.
For the longest time there were no to go cups in Bosnia. I've been there, over the years many times,
Oh,
and I remember we were trying to get something to go that was like, does not compute. What are you talking about? We don't.
yeah.
You sit and you drink your coffee.
Oh, I think we need to adopt that here.
I
Uh,
agree, man. No more to go cups, man. Sit down and
Sit
and
down.
drink your just Polacco. Slow
Yeah.
down.
Oh man, that's good.
Great trip.
I hope that some of these big trips that you took will have an essay or two out of those.
Yeah, well, I definitely the trip that I just returned from. I've got an outline for an essay. And man, it was
Oh,
so awesome.
are we tipping our hat to what that trip was? I mean, because that was
Oh
one I
man,
was like, man, I might just have to find my way there. Just show up, you know.
yeah, we might let that one simmer.
We gotta let it marinate.
Let it marinate. Got to marinate. Oh gosh, but yeah, we did get to go. It was a lot of fun. We took a summer trip up to Gatlinburg with the family. It was it was our last weekend of the summer, so we got the fam up to Gatlinburg and got
Yeah.
us a cabin, and we went back to Klingman's Dome, but it was foggy again. So
Uh,
I was like, I promise, kids, there's this
there's
beautiful view
it's
you could
beautiful.
see. It's so beautiful, and there was nothing but a cloud. It's cold.
I want to go
Um,
home, Dad.
yeah, and they were just like, yeah, I'm sure,
That's funny.
whatever. Um,
But you and the missus were able to go up to the Smokies.
oh, well, we went to up to one of our we went to our favorite place, Brian. That's North Georgia,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
and we got us a cabin, right, sort of outside of Blue Ridge on a little creek, and I got to fish that little creek and caught some trout. The first afternoon we were there, went down there and caught some trout, and man, it was just spectacular. And then we went. This was what we loved. We went and spent just a full day. We took the Subaru over to the our favorite stream in Northwest Tennessee, and and pulled into one of those parking places, and pulled out the awning and set up the chair, the camp chair, and hammock, and she sat and read, and I walked and fished, and then I took a break for lunch, and
Mm.
um, I won this grill in this giveaway with a bunch of other stuff, which was amazing, and it looks like a suitcase.
Yeah.
No, I think it's Nomad Grills, and it opens up, and it's a grill grate, and so we opened it up, and it's a charcoal grill. We had steaks for lunch that we had in the cooler. We cooked steaks right by the river.
Mm.
Made a pot of coffee, and she sat there and read her books, and I fished, and then came and drank some coffee and sat for a while, and then it was just there's no cell phone signal. It
What
was
a
just a glorious day.
what a great time.
And we were virtually the only ones there, and it was extremely peaceful and restful, and caught some fish and relaxed and allowed that fresh air to fill my lungs, and the sounds of the forest to wash away all the noise of life. And it was a rich, rich, rich time.
Mm.
And then we went over to Blue Ridge for dinner. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Man, what a great time, man. It sounds like
yeah,
a full summer,
yeah. We
full
packed some.
fall. I mean, what a great time that well, lots been going on between the last time we had a conversation and
I
now.
know, man.
Not a conversation between you and I, but just with this podcast. So
Yeah,
yeah.
the outro of season 8 to the intro of season 9. Well, we've had some adventures,
Yeah.
as it were.
Yeah.
What
So
about you, man?
man, we hit the ground running in May. Right when the kids got out of school, we headed north and went up
Mm,
to we did a couple of days at the lake for Memorial Day, but
yeah,
then we kept on going and we went up to Shenandoah National Park up in
man,
Virginia.
it looked so awesome.
I'm telling you, I mean, it was incredible. I mean, we camped for 2 or 3 nights there in Shenandoah, and it was gorgeous weather. But let me tell you, it was so windy. We were on top of this ridge, and when
So,
I say 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds, like our tent was imploding. Like the top was. I had to wake up and like poke the tent up, and like it would pop back up, and then it would rattle, 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 and then and like me and Charles would just be like we were like standing guard. We were like the watchmen, and like when it would come up, we would just stick our hands up, and it bloop, pop back up. You know, my wife and my daughter over there snoring away, just loving it,
sounds
just living their best life, and me and Charles are pushing that tent up. But it was an experience. So we spent some days hiking and camping and doing all kind of things there in Shenandoah. But we
you
then
got
we
some cool
drove
pictures. You got some cool pictures too, man.
cool pictures. Here's one of the things about camping. There's a fine line between wanting to see a hike and a sunset, and then you get back to the campsite and being able to see like while you're cooking dinner and just enjoying the campsite in the beautiful part of the afternoon. So one of the days, that's what we did. We didn't do any hikes. We stayed at the campsite, and it was just a grassy field that we were beside. It was a group site, and it was my family and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and their kids went with us. And the kids were playing in the field. The wives were taking naps. Me and my brother-in-law were cooking, and it was so relaxing. I mean, it was just like one of those days where you don't have to be anywhere. The
Mm.
main focus is just enjoying the weather and enjoying this sunshine. And we're sitting there and we're cooking some quesadillas up for the night. And
Make yourself a quesadilla.
yeah, my daughter, she looks at a tree and says, "Daddy, there's a snake." And
Oh
I
yeah.
look up at the tree and I see this tail going into this hole. And then the next thing I know, two heads of two snakes are coming
Nope.
out of the hole,
Nope.
and it's like mating season. And so these snakes are mating, and they are like intertwined and like like basically pouring out of this hole in this tree right beside our campsite. And like these things are like 4.5, 5 feet long. I mean, they are enormous snakes. And so kids pulled up chairs and watched them. It was just like, what in the world? This is like National Geographic, the nature TV show.
What kind of snakes were they? Did you figure out?
Somebody said something like a black racer, maybe, I don't know. It was maybe a king snake or something. I mean, they were
Look there, the black races.
it was.
Start commentating.
Oh, we could have totally done that. Um, but
Start playing business time. Is what you should have started playing.
well, yeah, a little Marvin Gaye action.
Oh yeah, kids, they're wrestling.
Look, they're just hugging.
Oh man.
So we went there. That was a beautiful hike. We went found some waterfalls and did some great stuff there. And then we drove down the next day. I guess it was like 3 days there, and we drove down to New River Gorge in West Virginia.
Okay.
But on our way, we stopped by to see our friend Ty
Oh.
at Smoke and Chimneys, the trout fishery.
Oh man.
And man,
I'm so
what
jealous.
what an incredible operation he's got there. I mean, it was so fun. The way he's using the land to gravity feed these ponds with a spring that comes up on his land, and it's
And all right.
it's
What does he
phenomenal.
call it? An artesian well? Is that what
Yeah,
he
yeah, it's an artesian well there, and
Man, that's
um,
so awesome.
he and his family were just amazing hosts just for our crew that just kind of wheeled in there. It was like, hey, here we're coming, and here we are. But then uh, my brother-in-law and I were able to buy some of the trout from him.
Y'all
while we
cook
were
them?
there, and we cooked them that night.
Oh
And
man.
I'm telling you, best trout I've ever had in my life. I mean,
Yes.
this is fresh. It is well done. It is incredible. So we didn't tent camp the next few nights. We stayed in a little cabin, like with bunk beds and things like that. All eight of us were in there, and we had these things on the grill. We cooked them up, ate them. Kids loved it. I loved it. It was phenomenal. I would do it again in a heartbeat. But the next day, we went to the upper New River and whitewater raft with the kids. And so it was one of those deals. These were easy rapids.
Yeah.
1 to 3,
Yeah.
moderate. That type of thing. Kids were in little duckies. It was me and a kid and my wife and a kid. And it was a whole group. But
That's like a kayak,
it's
an inflatable kayak kind of deal, right?
exactly. That's
Right.
exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
Sweet.
And it was so fun. They would jump out into the river, swim around, jump back in. I mean, it was a whole day of it. We pulled up on the shore and they had sandwiches for us and uh, just an amazing opportunity just to kind of enjoy the river. We were looking at, there was bird watching. There were well, some rapids that were enough to get the kids' heart rate up a little bit, and the water was cold enough to kind of take their breath some. And it was just a fantastic
That's
couple of
great,
days
man.
there, man. So then we came on home, but yeah, and then spent
Did y'all take one of those iconic national park signs? Did they have one of those national park signs or whatever?
yeah, we let me think. Yeah, I think we got one at the Shenandoah. I didn't remember seeing one at New River.
Cool.
It is kind of a newer one. And so I don't know if they have that up yet, but it's also the one that has the enormous suspension bridge.
Oh
It
yeah,
it
that's
it
right.
it goes over the New River, and
Bridge.
it is
Yeah.
insane how big this bridge is. So we got the picture in front of the bridge. So it's
Awesome.
it's cool. Then we did some stuff around Lake Gunnersville, some kayaking and all that over the fourth. And just a couple of weeks ago, we went to did our fall break at Cheaha State Park with some friends and
Nice.
um, a just a fun night, a couple of nights of camping. It was just beautiful, perfect weather. Couldn't ask for
Hmm.
better. We've had some really good weather, but I don't want to be tone deaf to some of our friends who are listening who've had some really bad weather up in their neck of the woods in North
Whew.
Carolina and
I
and
know, man.
Tennessee. Man, that we're our prayers going out for those guys and men and women up there who are fighting just for clean water. I mean, what a
Yeah.
what a
I know.
tragic.
Certainly, I think our buddies, the Simmons, Joshua Simmons, and the
Yeah,
dads on the Fly guys are. I think they're doing okay. I think their mom and dad may have lost their home. Did I see that correctly?
they did. Yeah, I texted with them and they were fine, but everybody was okay, but the parents lost their home. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they were doing. I know there was maybe a GoFund. I don't know if there was there a campaign for that. I know there was a sticker campaign, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I
But
really don't know. I think that, I mean, there's so many opportunities to give up there right now. And I know that our friends at Southern Culture on the Fly are
yeah,
doing some support for some local fly shops up there.
right.
And you know what I've seen lately? I've seen these signs that say, please come visit. You know, we need your tourism
Patronage. Yeah,
dollars.
yeah,
We need you to come shop in our stores, those types of things. So
right.
I think there's a fear of going up there and being in the way and being too touristy, but I think maybe in some areas that might be what they need the most is
Right.
the influx of cash.
Yeah, I was. We were fortunate to hang out with Hank Hershey
Yeah.
recently, and
Former guest, credible guy.
yeah, man. And but I was asking him, I was like, we've been so, and rightly so, we've been so focused on the people and all the loss of homes and just unbelievable. I mean, it was almost surreal watching social media, a flood of videos of houses washing down the river. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's singed into my some of those pictures are singed into my brain. But I said, we've talked about that so much, but what about the ecological impact? How does this, and he's fish, a fish and wildlife guy and fish biologist. That's his thing, and he's like, oh man, yeah, we've started talking about that, but it was still pretty fresh. But I think there are going to be some impacts just because of, I mean, there were a couple of, I think chemical plants and things that were damaged, and
Yeah.
there's been a lot dumped into the watersheds up there that will have probably a lasting impact for a little
Yeah.
while.
We just don't know. I mean,
I
right
don't
now
know.
it's too early to tell. I mean, the complete change in landscape. I mean, it was a landscape
Yeah,
shifting event. And I mean, there are rock beds that were there were not. I mean, it was grass fields. I mean, it's just insane how much water came through the mountains then.
yeah. I remember one video that really stood out to me was you see this. It's a shipping container just floating down the river,
Mm.
and it meets what looks like a steel power pole, like one of those real big power poles,
Yeah.
and it comes up to that power pole and it broadsides that power pole, and it just fold the water just folds that shipping container
Oh my
around
gosh.
that power pole. I mean, it looked like me crushing a can,
Oh,
you know, you know, and this is a steel container, and it just shows you like the utter, power of water. I mean, we felt it. I mean, how many times have we been in, wading in water, and you know, and it was, we would call it fast water or whatever because of rain or what
hmm.
have you, and certainly not flood water, but it's hard to walk through.
Yeah.
And like we just underestimate, I think, the hydro power of water being able to. I mean, it just bent steel like it was nothing.
Yeah. Oh,
And
it's what a, I mean, it's hard to wrap my mind around that, honestly.
yeah,
Like that, yeah. I hope that we never have to witness anything like that again.
I know. Certainly makes you, as I reflected on it, just how we think we have, things under control, so to speak,
Yeah.
and we just, we're reminded pretty quickly of just how small we are and how much of a razor's edge we live on,
Mm.
in life. I mean, living on the Gulf Coast, right here on the bay.
Yeah.
I mean, one guy at church said, he's like, man, we always use the sort of the way of talking about it as, I'm not thankful it went there. I'm relieved, right? I'm relieved it
Mm.
didn't come here, but I'm not thankful. I don't want to be thankful that someone else suffered dismay.
Yeah.
But
That's a good point.
I did have this relief. But he was like, but our number's coming up, And it's
Yeah.
like it's a matter of time before one of those storms comes right up the gut into Mobile Bay. And so we just saw this time of year we're always watching the Gulf, and everybody becomes a weatherman.
Yeah. Man.
Well, I think it's going to go this way or that way, and you just really never know. You really
Yeah.
never know what's going to
Just
happen. But I tell you what, those mountain people are tough. And I tell you what, just watching their resilience and watching them care for one another in
oh,
some of these videos was just deeply encouraging amidst destruction and just terrible things. There was so much goodness of sacrificial giving and helping neighbors. I was
it's inspiring.
just really inspired. I mean, I think my favorite was the guy that was like the mule train. I'm like, he's
Yeah.
got a train of mules and he's going up the mountain. There's no roads or anything, but he's like,
Yeah.
I can haul stuff up there, no problem. And
Yep.
I was like, Louisiana's got the Cajun Navy, but up in the mountains they got the
They got the mule train.
Appalachian mule train, man. But it was just encouraging, like you said, inspiring.
Wow.
Just watching people care for one another. But I tell you what, as we shift gears, thinking back to this summer, I had such a wonderful time. Finally, fishing with Rockartz, and
Yeah.
finally, I've heard over and over and over about the shore burger, and I would have to see pictures on Instagram of this massive shore burger. I finally got to sink my teeth into the juiciest, most delectable cheeseburger that you can eat on the side of a river. That
And
man
it didn't
knows how to cook a
disappoint.
burger. It did not disappoint. It was not oversold. It was perhaps undersold.
Maybe undersold. I mean, we talk about the shore burger often. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
but I mean, it top burger on my list. I mean,
Listen,
it's
folks, Steve's not, he's not paying us for this.
no, 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 no.
He he's our friend. We're just telling the God honest truth.
This is
Book
my
a
story. This is my testimony.
This is my testimony. As I raise my hand and I mean this, book a trip to catch some fish, but book a trip to eat that burger. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
I mean,
And what does
it's
he say? That burger's really for him.
yeah. This is an opportunity for him to invite people to his experience.
Yeah, but it was so delicious. But we caught fish, man. We had a great time. What was that? Locust Fork? Is that right?
Yeah. 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 We were able to fish that.
We wanted to fish the Cahaba, but there had been a good bit of rain, which is pretty much par for the course when we're trying to plan a fishing trip.
If you're having a drought and you need some rain,
Invite us to come
invite us
fishing.
to come fish. We will. It's basically a rain dance.
Uh,
It's just gonna happen.
it's going to happen.
Hey, but how
Yeah,
about let's that a couple of things happen. Um, I think did I catch a catfish
again,
again?
again, we caught one with Craig in East Alabama. That big old catfish on the Tallapoosa,
Yeah,
and then he said, "Let's switch over to that. Was it a clouser? Let's switch
yeah.
over to that clouser minnow." And sure enough, as soon as you did, oh water heifer,
Man, I was like, oh, it's on now. And then I
thing
was like,
it dove down.
oh yeah, I was like, I got a pig here. I mean, this is insane how big this fish is going to be. And it's
It's a big old water heifer. It's a large.
oh,
No
catfish. Then
catfish.
I tell you what, so it was the catfish that kind of did it. And then I got stuck on a log. I was trying to do a little forward roll cast,
Oh,
and then it got hooked behind my glasses and
oh
bloop
yes.
right into the bottom of the river.
Finally need
And
some. You were like, I needed some new glasses anyway.
I did need some new glasses. These were getting kind of old. And but now I was well, I know Stephen, bless his heart, man, he tried his
He tried.
darndest to get those glasses back. I was like, man, I don't think we're gonna find them. I mean, we gave it a good effort, but it's really not worth it. I needed some new ones. Um,
Yeah.
but then we catch some fish, right? I mean, we were actually able to catch some bass, and we come up on this little hole. And how many fish did we catch on this thing?
I don't know. I quit counting. I mean, we
I,
kept pulling them out of
I,
there.
I mean, it was
They
close
were
to 20, close to 20 fish.
they were stacked up in there, man.
They
It
were
was awesome.
stacked up, and it was incredible. I mean, it was like an unassuming place. And I think Stephen was ready to go on down the river, and I was like, I mean, I'm catching them
Still
right
catching
here in the
fish.
middle, and I'm like, I know there's better spots, but like they still biting, and
I
so
tell you,
we pull,
don't leave fish to catch fish.
yeah, right, and they were not big, but they were in the fish
Just
in
fun.
hand. It was
It was
fun.
fun. It was fun.
It
It
was
was so.
so fun to get back on the water
It
and
was.
with you and with Steven. I mean, Steven's
Yeah.
always a good time. He's such a good guy. He gets it. He knows the art of hospitality.
He
Um,
really is ate up with the gift of
oh,
hospitality.
love that guy. So
Yeah.
yeah, book a
Well,
trip.
it was a book a trip, man. It was he's so good, and it was just a blessing, and just a real. We talk about often Sabbath and rest. I mean, we were doing stuff, and we were physically exerting ourselves, but it was so restful
Hmm.
to float on that river, and a joy to celebrate each other's fish and laugh, and man, we just laughed the whole day. We were cracking up about
So
stuff and
funny.
and,
Yeah,
and learning, and he just, I mean, I always learn a little something when I fish with him. And
and he knows where to put you on the fish. Like
yes,
he's not like, oh, just go out there, just throw it up. Throw it. No, he's like, all right, we're going to throw it past this log. We're going to draw. It's going to drift down. Be ready.
yes,
Make sure you strip. And so, I mean, he's a teacher.
yeah,
He is a good time as far as just fun on the water, and he's just a hospitable guy, and just everything you want for a good guided experience.
and I ain't gonna lie, man. Now when we took that boat out of the water, I wasn't ready for that place that we came out of. I wasn't sure what we were getting into. His his
It,
takeout spot
it
was it was interesting.
it didn't look inviting, you know.
No, we're not going to name any names or any places, but looks like there's been some parties at this location
Yeah. That
over
seems to
the
be the
over the years. There was
I
some
think
interesting. I'm sure that if that ground could talk, it would have some stories to share.
oh, I would imagine so.
No question.
Man, speaking of stories to share, man, we've got such a good, exciting list of
Yeah,
guests already lined up.
man, some of the most unique people,
Yeah, we
and
have a very different group this year. I mean, it
there's
is
no
eclectic.
theme. You know, we in the past we've had like a theme.
Yeah,
You know, we had a bunch of rabbit room people,
yeah. The
and
Alabama Fly Fishing Group.
no,
Yeah.
this there's no
Mm-mm.
rhyme nor reason to these folks. It just
It's going to be a wild ride, but every one of these conversations has been rich and exciting
yeah, it's
and
super
fun.
interesting. It's fun to we've had the conversations, but I've been going back through and editing and cleaning up and getting them ready to post. And man, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, it's just conversations we had months ago that I forgot about.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I forgot all about this. Was such a good conversation. So a lot to look forward to, folks, on the upcoming season 9 of episodes. And man, on the trip that we alluded to that we will not be sharing about because I think it's going to be an essay. So a little foreshadowing there. Um, made me think about that. You sent me that meme about foreshadowing. This lady's got the Pepsi. She's got this Pepsi bottle. And she's like, I've never done this before, and every time it would clip over to like the Mentos going down in Pepsi,
Yeah.
and it's progressively got worse as the he's like is talking about foreshadowing. It's like, and Coke would explode into her face. So I was dying laughing about foreshadowing. So now every time I think about the idea of foreshadowing,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Pepsi exploding into this lady's face,
That's a
dropping Mentos into a 3 liter bottle of
oh
Pepsi.
my gosh, that was so funny. But yeah, so yeah, foreshadowing. That's going to be a great essay. You got to be in beautiful places, doing some amazing thing with some amazing people, leaving it
Yeah,
at that.
and a couple of which I think we'll have on the show, and I think they'll again no rhyme, no real reason other than I was with them on this adventure, and yeah, they'll be good. So I'm really looking forward to sharing their stories
Well,
with you. And we're always looking for more stories.
yeah,
If you're an avid listener to this podcast and you're like, man, you guys need to meet so and so, or you
yeah.
should not, man, send us an email. Shoot me an email or Brian an email, or you can just write the storied outdoors at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Oh, we'd love to hear from you and hear about somebody that we should talk to that you think would add a great voice to this conversation.
And also, we're still, if you have an essay that you would love for us to read,
Hmm.
that you want to write one and send it to us, we'd love to have that included too. We've done that a few seasons, and always looking for people who are trying to find a voice in this space, and so
Yeah,
would love to help make room for that.
absolutely.
Well, this season. So starting today, we're going to be getting. This is going to take us right up to Christmas,
Yeah,
and it's going to be it's going to be a packed season. We're still
yeah,
recording. We're still doing a few last minute uh, recordings, and we still got our essays, and so that's it's going to be a full season. I cannot wait. Some of these
yeah,
people you're just going to be blown away by.
yeah. I think so. I think we'll go through February. I think episodes will go through close to February. I think. Um,
Um,
we'll see.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what the final episode will be on.
We'll see who we get recorded because I think I'm waiting to hear back from a couple people.
We've got a lot in the hopper. We're just
Yeah,
kind of waiting until they lock down a date.
yeah. It's so challenging. People have so much on their plate and on their docket to go.
Yeah,
What's next on your list of adventures, Brian?
man. I was thinking about that earlier. It has been such a whirlwind. I think that most of my travel is calming down. Other than two camping trips we have that are coming up. One is going to be with our church.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm leading that with a couple other people. And I think we have about 30 to 35 people coming on that trip. And so
Good.
that's going to be fun. This is our
Awesome.
first kind of entry into the camping world with our church. And we're not quite sure if we're a camping church yet or not, but we're we're gonna figure it out quick enough. So, but no, I'm excited
It's
about that.
drive up camping though.
It's drive up
It's
camping.
not backpacking, right?
Yeah,
This
it's
is drive
very,
camping.
very comfort camping.
Yeah.
And then we're going to try to do some beach camping with some family and friends
Nice.
in December. So yeah,
Nice. I know down here our good friends over at Redbeard's Outfitters, they rent gear, which is cool.
yeah,
So you can rent like backpacks and
yeah.
tents and sleeping bags. You guys have some folks up there. Does the REI do that up there?
I have never checked into it to see what they do.
Alabama Outdoors, maybe?
Outdoors maybe do it, but we have so much gear in our basement right now from the Sanford Outdoor Adventure Club.
Oh yeah,
Uh, we
you
we
got your
gotta
own outfitters. You
we
got
gotta cash. Yeah,
Yield
it's,
outfitters.
yeah. No, we have had to use some of their stuff, and they have got quite the gear. So yeah, it is. I have this one section where I park my cars in my basement, and then the rest of it's Outdoor Adventure Club gear. So
Nice.
it's fun. What about you? What is your next adventure?
Oh man, right around the corner. So we're recording on October 22nd. This will release next Wednesday
Yep.
on the 30th. Is that right? Am I thinking about that correctly? Whatever 7 days from now is.
Yeah. Yes, on the 30th.
On the 30th. So on November 1st, I will be flying out back down to Nicaragua with a good group of folks from my church, and we'll spend some time on on the projects down there that we partner with, and I'm
Great.
excited to get back down there. I'm not excited necessarily about the heat because it's always hot down there, but it'll be pretty nice, and it's sort of a rainy season,
Okay.
so it'll be it'll be 80s during the day and pretty humid, and then get down into the low 70s, high like 68, 69 at night. So it'll actually be pretty nice. Much better than the summer. The summer's pretty brutal there.
Now, is this the farm that you'll be going to?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That looks amazing.
It's beautiful. I
I'd
mean,
love to see that.
it's really quite beautiful. And it sounds like we may get to visit another volcano while we're there. So I'm excited about that.
Okay.
I've been to one other one, but this will be a place that I haven't been, which is pretty rare. I've been to most of the touristy places down there for the most
Nice.
part. But I'm excited to get back down there and visit friends and do some work and drink some great coffee. God, their coffee's so good.
Mm.
And they have, I love food, obviously. And, and plantains is a big part of
Hmm.
their dietary, their loves down there. And they make these things called tajadas. And it's like you take a mandolin. If you know what a mandolin is, it's a very sharp blade. Be very careful using your mandolins if you have one. And they cut the plantains, which is like a very starchy, almost potato like banana,
Hmm.
and they cut them super thin and they fry them up and they make these chips,
Oh man.
and they are delicious, man. It's super delicious. They're a little sweet, a
Oh,
little salty, and they'll serve that up with gallo pinto with rice and beans and some barbecue chicken, sort of their go to meal. But
oh, that sounds fantastic.
a lot of great coffee.
Yeah.
Avocados are fresh and delicious. Pineapples are fresh and delicious.
Wow.
So a lot of. I don't think there's anything that won't grow on the farm. Pretty much,
Yeah.
just volcanic soil. It's just beautiful, and are amazing people. The Nicaraguan people are resilient and so full of love and joy and hard working. God, they're hard working.
Mm.
So I'm excited to be with them. And the chicken, they have a chicken farm down there where they do a one egg program. They do an egg a day for kids in primary school, which is pretty neat.
Awesome.
So I think one of the things we're going to do is build some chicken boxes for some lay-in boxes.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah,
that's it's so good to be able to go and have a project you can start and finish while you're
yeah.
down there.
Well, for us, I mean, we're not going to do anything that they can't do. Probably better than us down there.
Yeah.
It's really just us to come alongside, have something to do together,
Hmm.
and really empower them to do and to provide and to serve. And man, we just get to come alongside and hear their stories and encourage them and pray with them and laugh with them and just love on our brothers and sisters down there. And it really is a joy. It's one of my favorite things to do, really.
That'd be great.
So it'll be a great adventure. Of course, always an adventure when leaving the country. So
Well, Brad, man, I'm so looking forward to this season,
yeah, man, me too.
and
Be great.
yeah, it's been great hanging out with you tonight,
Yeah,
and
man.
I hope that hope our listeners enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, man. Pull up a maybe. I would say if you have a little Bluetooth speaker, I would say pull up your Bluetooth speaker and sit out by your fire pit and
Yep,
uh and listen along to some of these episodes. That'd be my preferred listening space.
yep, that'd be
Uh,
awesome.
it is. It's fire. It's campfire season, man.
Yep,
It's upon us, man. I hope people do that. I hope people get out there and sit around the fire, share some stories, share some adventures. It is camping and hunting season. I know that we're going to start scouting out some ducks for duck season this year.
mm.
Hope to get to do some quail hunting, and I know you sent me a couple of. You sent me a pretty epic picture on the old trail cam of a visitor.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've had some. The bears usually kind of hang around till about mid-October, and then they go down, I
Yeah,
guess, into hiding somewhere. They don't really hibernate, but they lay pretty low and
take a long nap.
long nap. Yeah, and so yeah,
Yeah,
we've seen them. They've been big old chunky hosses, man.
chunky. Yeah, yeah. Well fed bears.
Well fed. So yeah,
So
hopefully
yeah,
we won't
looking
see
forward
them.
to yeah. Well, yeah, I hope you don't run into those guys. But looking forward to all the adventures in store for the winter season and a great season on the storied outdoors. And I hope it encourages people to get out there, man. Get outside, write some stories, learn from what you're learning, and share these stories and
Yeah,
share this podcast, man. If you haven't taken time to leave us a review,
yeah,
that's the number one way you can help this podcast out if you really enjoy it. And leave us a written review. Um, I think on Spotify there's no written review, but I think you can leave like a star rating.
mhm.
And so leave us a rating or leave us a review. And like we said earlier, shoot us an email, thestoriedoutdoors@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have someone that you think would be awesome for this conversation, please let us know. We'd love to connect with them and hear those stories and archive. So especially if it's some old dudes, some cool old guys, man. I just love
Love it.
hearing the stories of guys like Jimbo Metter and Gates Shaw and Jay Wayne Fierce. And I tried this. I was in Birmingham. I tried to go see Craig Haney, but it just
Yeah,
didn't work out. I missed Craig, but I just love those men and being able to hear those stories. So if you have somebody like that you think would be willing to join us, or we could join them for a conversation, that'd be amazing.
yeah.
So, and as these episodes come out, visit thestoriedoutdoors.com. Lots more content in the show notes and photos and perhaps videos and things like that to partner with or kind of come alongside these episodes for more ways to interact with us and interact with the podcast. Thanks so much for all that listen, man. We don't say that enough. But thank you so much for all those that listen and tune in and spread the word, share it with a friend, and have some fun in the place we love to call the Storied Outdoors.